the comparison between COVID and flu has had all sorts of strange stories circulating around. It's not the same thing. And you don't get long flu. You get long COVID. Generally speaking, yeah, we can't say, oh, it's just flu. It's just that much more deadly and that much more dangerous. If you caught COVID before vaccination was widely available, you were on average 10 times more likely to die than if you had caught flu. But now, if you're vaccinated, your chance of dying, of course, is much lower. And Omicron BA2, for the moment, is 30% less deadly than the Delta variant of last summer. So now, some people have used those numbers to calculate that COVID is even slightly less deadly than flu in a vaccinated person. But not everyone agrees. Some Japanese scientists did the same calculation using, I think, a more realistic number for death rates, because not all the official death certificates really captured all the deaths from COVID. And they figured Omicron was still 40% more deadly than flu, even Omicron. Because it's far more contagious than flu, there are more cases of it. Even if Omicron is milder, there were all of 50% more deaths in Britain this year than there of respiratory disease generally than there are in even a bad flu season. Well, there have been an awful lot of false narratives about COVID, especially on social media. There are false cures. Hundreds of people have died. COVID is a hoax. It's not dangerous. The vaccine is more deadly than the virus. They're all lies. Even after 2 years, though, I think some people spread these stories basically because they're being paid to. Some governments are trying to spread distrust. It will get them political power. A lot of these false narratives are about the vaccine. An awful lot of people believe the vaccine is bad. And if that happens, we're going to keep getting bad cases of COVID. Nothing is ending. A lot of governments are saying things like that. They're using slogans because they've got to win elections. They want to make their voters happy. Oh, no, Omicron's over. We handled it. Yeah. But we have the means to do that. We have the policies. We've tried out all of our social distancing. We've got the vaccine. Hopefully we can develop some more drugs. I think we've been neglecting those. And when a country in the West says, well, we're living with COVID, we've been living with COVID since early 2020. The pandemic is over? No. I think the reality of the situation is they're trying to tell people it's okay, it's not going to be as bad, you can relax, but I don't think you can completely relax. And I don't think the scientists would say that either, because it's the same as it's ever been. If we relax too much, especially with this highly contagious variant of the virus that's here now, we still run the risk of getting so many cases that our health systems can't cope. What worries me is that this virus is still evolving. It's still adapting to humans. So it will change. It will not get less transmissible. It will remain highly contagious. Last summer, the Delta variant was a lot more deadly. So if that happens, we may have to put the controls back in very quickly. And if we sort of dismantle our testing, our monitoring, that sort of thing, we might not be able to put them in again so quickly. There were a number of countries, the US, for example, Britain, other countries, that said, oh, look, it's going to be really expensive if we have to make people stay home and shut down businesses and close our borders. That's going to cost a lot. Come on, how much could it cost to just let the virus spread? In fact, China was among the countries that proved that that wasn't true, because you came in with very stringent regulations to begin with. You shut it right down, and you ended up with fewer deaths and less economic damage by having done that. Countries that were afraid to act that strongly to begin with because they thought it would be too expensive ended up with more deaths and more economic damage. When they get an outbreak, they do partial lockdowns, and they're not having to do it across the whole country. So I think maybe if you can do that kind of thing flexibly as the virus moves through your population and just keep watching for it. One of the things I think all countries need is going to be testing. Now, Britain has shut down its free testing. I think that's crazy. Different countries will open up at different times. They will hopefully be listening to their scientists, and the scientists will pretty much be saying the same kinds of things depending on what's happening locally.